Hello there, fellow observers of YouTube dumpster fires. Once again, Matthew has analyzed the playing field, taken stock of his position, and in a gambit for sympathy, decided it was time to whine about other people who wronged him in life. Considering his last gripe fest included a hot breakfast before school, you probably won't be terribly surprised to know he blames everyone but himself. Anyway, he had a looping video of the guy he was moaning about, which we've replaced with a loop of him freaking out about a supposed knock at the door.
Today I'm going to lay out the entire story of Michael Scott.
Movie Monday! The only cure I know for the Monday blues is...
Not as some random toxic high school friend, but as a deliberately planted long-term handler.
And just like that, we're off to the races with Matthew's narrative. Before we get into it, I want to explain a little something about him, worth keeping in mind while he speaks. He's already come to the conclusion that this guy was, assigned to him. He's been under the influence of the supposed pizza network since before there even was a so-called pizza network. No matter what Maddie did, this person was going to make sure he was somehow in Matthew's life. Matthew couldn't simply find better friends, you see. The network just wouldn't allow it. And besides, they were mind-controlling him anyway. Ask yourself, as he speaks, what makes more sense? A decades-long conspiracy to fuck over Matt Whiter, or Matt Whiter simply made a lot of poor choices over the course of his entire life?
Who was assigned to me when I was 15 years old and ran a coordinated operation on me for over 11 years. This wasn't normal teenage drama. This was a calculated containment and destabilization program that used alcohol, physical abuse, trauma bonding, isolation, and perfect routing to the next layer of the network. I'm going to walk you through every phase with the facts exactly as they happened. So this was the first phase, the infiltration, sophomore to senior year, roughly 2005 to 2008. So I met Mike in biology class when I was a sophomore, and he was openly hostile toward me, classic bully behavior. Then at the beginning of senior year in fall 2007, he did a complete 180 degrees out of nowhere. He started love bombing me and inviting me to the YMCA to work out, and started acting friendly, and he started telling me he'd introduce me to his friend group and take me to house parties and stuff like this.
Now, over the years, we've watched more than a few people make this kind of mistake. The thing is, it's always been in a romantic relationship type situation where deeper feelings were involved. We're sure you've seen it too. The person who stays with someone who, everyone but they can see, is the worst possible choice. Not trying to imply Matthew had romantic feelings toward Michael, of course, but the vibe is definitely there, especially as he tells his story of increasing woe at this brute's hands.
So right away he pushed alcohol hard. One of the first things I remember is supplying booze from my parents' house for him and his best friend Brad. And they promised to pick me up for a party after pre-gaming, and they never came back.
Yep, if Meaty Matty had a bit of a brain, he would have clocked that as a major red flag and found someone else to hang out with. Think about what he's not saying. They obviously used him, and he just as obviously went back for more.
They just left me stranded at home all night. Brad, by the way, openly called me the biggest living sack of fucking shit that ever existed, and said I'd never amount to anything.
I guess that kind of depends on what his definition of anything meant. If he meant fame and fortune, it looks like he was right. If he meant you wouldn't make any impact on society at all, he was wrong.
And this was right in the study hall class when Mike was right there, sitting right next to him. So pretty much that made me break down in tears, right? Just more psychological abuse.
That's right. Meaty Matty has always had a need for a protector. Even to this day, he openly asked for people to defend him. I am unable to recall why this other person called Meaty Matty that name, but he probably deserved it.
And made me feel confused and depressed. So, at the same time, they started the, back road ritual where they would drink a bunch, get drunk, and drive over 100 miles per hour, basically, on these narrow, dangerous horse farm roads around Parker's Mill and Military Pike.
It's kind of amazing. He's about to say he risked death for this guy more than once, only to keep going back, like a lover in a dysfunctional relationship.
Yeah, roads that already had crosses on the side marking people who had died there. So Mike, Dallas, and the crew treated it like it was just fun. Mike even casually mentioned the roads were haunted and that our parents know something about those back roads, and they had basically zero normal human fear regarding these high-risk situations.
And that would have been my cue to hang out with other people. No, wait, what the hell am I saying? My cue was back when the guy known to be a dick suddenly wanted to be nice.
So, phase 2 now, this was the escalation and trauma bonding, basically 2008 to 2010. So once we graduated, the abuse got physical and repeated. So he crashed through a fence at high speed with me in the car. He also, another time, ran a red light at 50 to 60 miles per hour and T-boned another car, and airbags were deployed. Easily could have died in that situation.
Yeah, it's almost like that guy wasn't exactly a very good friend. Were he and the gang the only other students at the high school? Did they share your frustration over those damn Bisquick pancakes?
So he punched me in the face at a hotel room party, left me bleeding and crying, and then the very next day took me to the 2008 Cincinnati Open tennis final that was played between Novak Djokovic and Andy Murray, and it was...
If this were a sucker in love, I'd feel for the guy, but these are just bad friends, and this is the part of the movie where I go, hey, stupid, you're just the comic relief for a jerk at this point.
Supposed to be this big apology, and we had luxury seats, and he acted like nothing happened, and it was just like, oh yeah, I'm sorry, this is my apology. Classic trauma bonding. So
you might be wondering, well, why not just tell him to take the tickets and stick them where the sun don't shine? Are you kidding? This is tennis, bro.
Also in the woods behind Palomar Center in around May 2008, he punched me in the gut/kidney area so hard I collapsed to the ground and genuinely thought I was dying.
You were wrong.
He threw me down a full flight of dormitory stairs and I got a concussion, blacked out for over an hour. That was another incident where I believe he was trying to probably take me out through plausible deniability or something.
Matthew, if he had wanted to kill you, let's face it, he would have had no better chance than when you were unconscious in a heap at the bottom of the stairs. The fact that you survived is pretty much testament to the fact he wasn't actually trying to kill you.
And, another time he put his cigarette out on my chest and the embers rolled down my navel and scarred me. That was at another one of these house parties.
Scarred navel? Was he putting out a cigarette or a road flare?
And while I was crying at the bottom of the stairs after the burn, he threw a giant piece of glass down towards my throat/head area, which missed by about a foot or so.
Not exactly a near miss.
So after every violent incident, he'd flip to the, I just, see you as a little brother, and I'm on and the fake apology line, and he would wrestle me to the ground too often and say, oh, I just see you as a little brother, or after some traumatic event, he'd take me somewhere fun or whatever, like that Cincinnati Open final. So it's like classic trauma bonding. And he constantly reminded me often, that without him, he said, without me, you would be nothing. You had no friends before I let you into the group, pretty much. And so the last phase is the Phoenix Convergence, basically 2009 to 2014. So right after high school, Mike moved to Chandler, Arizona, right in the Phoenix metro area, and at the exact same time, my earlier golf friend from age 14 moved to Gilbert, Arizona, also Phoenix metro. I ended up visiting both of them in the city during the same years. Mike lived in a big house with a pool, drove a BMW, and claimed his dad's barcoding business paid for everything, and that he just clicked the mouse and took a few calls. No public records of any such business exist. He told me all this nonsense about how his dad was an entrepreneur and had this giant multi-million-dollar barcoding business that had contracts to the public school area in Phoenix and beyond. It's just ridiculous.
Yeah, it sounds ridiculous. In Phoenix, they issue Audis and McMansions with jacuzzis. Everyone knows that.
So more network psyop fakery. So the last phase 4 of blood over intent routing and ghosts, 2017 to early 2018. So in May, June time period, 2017, Mike did the blood over intent ritual with me and started making videos under the name Free Mankind. Then in spring 2018, right as I started exposing the lies of the blood over intent community more thoroughly, they lied about going to the North Pole and things like this, and I exposed their lies, basically. After that, he suddenly introduced me to Creator 13, Spirit Walker 77, and he was telling me Brett was supporting my videos and also exposing the cult. So the second I started talking about shapeshifters and deeper supernatural topics, Mike completely ghosted me, handoff complete pretty much at that time. So,
it sounds like you're a little crestfallen that Michael ditched you, and well, more than a little, which is a really strange attitude to have about a bro who almost killed you on several separate occasions, who left you in tears more than once, this sounds more like a bitch fest from a jilted lover than it sounds like someone who escaped a dreaded handler.